Good evening, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever in the world you are. Welcome to this program. My name is Wilbert Mukori. Tonight, I'd like to talk about this Cyclone Chamisa that is reportedly sweeping the country. Today, the Chamisa bandwagon was in Masvingo. And this was just a video of their gathering there in Mucheke Hall in Masvingo town. I would not bother playing the video because all they were doing is just singing. So this is Zimbabwe. And this is what is happening in Zimbabwe. I've got tonight Benjamin who will help me discuss these events. Benjamin, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. To our viewers, thank you for joining us.
What do you think of this Cyclone Chamisa?
Well, I really don't get what the hype is all about. I mean, I believe we are just back to the very beginning. We are already in election mode. Again, we are gearing up to do the same thing over and over again. It's nothing new to me. There's really nothing much I can take home from it. We've been here, we've seen it.
What I find really disappointing here is that I look at all these people and say to myself, how many of them even know that Nelson Chamisa and his MDC friends failed to implement even one token democratic reform during the 23 years they've been on the political stage, including the 5 years in the GNU. Zanu PF has been rigging elections because MDC CCC failed to implement reforms. Why is it that these people, even now with the benefit of hindsight, they don't understand it? That is what I would really find fascinating.
I think now it's gotten to an extent where we can say it's just blind loyalty. You know, uh, ask no questions, just go along with the flow. I mean, it's not just the reforms that that they failed to implement, but the promises. I mean, just last year we were promised that ZANU PF will not rig these elections. Come what may, we were once beaten, twice shy, and they got rigged, and nobody has demanded for any answers. Already, we're already joining another, and well, they call it the blue bus. We're already on the blue bus. The yellow bus is packed up. We didn't ask why did we get promised, and where is the promise at the end of the day? What did you deliver? So it's just mind-boggling to find out. We are once again already willing participants, to join onto this wagon train that is going absolutely nowhere. We are just repeating the same thing over and over again without asking ourselves. Asking ourselves, probably they would lie to us, but ask yourself, all the promises, where are they? What have they fulfilled for 23 years that they have been that they have been around? What have they achieved for us? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it is tragic that we can have people who can be so slow. I mean, 23 years, it's a long time. By now, these people should have at least realized that the main purpose of the opposition, why they have risked everything to elect these people into power, is to implement the reforms so that we can stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. They failed to implement the reforms, and not only that, they are now participating in flawed elections to give Zanu PF legitimacy. One of the interesting things about this is that, like you correctly said, Chamisa promised that they would win the last elections big, and that didn't happen. But when SADC, the AU, and even Zimbabwe's own Zimbabwe Human Rights Commission election observers condemned the elections as flawed and illegal, when Chamisa turned around to some of the winning CCC members and told them that no, they should not accept their gravy train seats, they showed him the middle finger, showing clearly that while the membership is blind loyalty, this is typical political personality cult mentality, Chamisa Chete Chete, the leaders themselves, the advocate Fazima area of this world, knew that this process is flawed, but they were doing it out of greed. When they got into those seats, they took them up, even when they knew the process was flawed. I found that really interesting, that bit when Chamisa tried to get them to stop accepting the gravy train seats, and they showed him the middle finger.
It's not the first time that this has happened. I remember when Chamisa was saying that, the MPs should not partake of the bribe money of those 40,000, US dollars that were given to them just before the end of their tenure as MPs. But none of them refused that money. They all went ahead and took up the bribe from Zanu PF. That's you find this is where we are. But you are right to say, how long is this year going to continue? Our blind loyalty. I mean, we are now operating as if we are members of a cult. We really don't have an option at the end of the day. Whatever the leader of the organization says goes, and we just follow blindly. I mean, we are actually giving away the last free will that we have. I mean, most of it has been taken away by Zanu PF because they've taken away our rights, our human rights, our freedom of association, freedom of speech, our free will, basically. But then now we are giving away the last of that free will, to somebody that we are not even able to question. Right now is now concerning what went wrong, and already a lot of people are already hopping on to say let's go forward with this whole new. I think it's the same thing. I can't say it's a new blue bus. It's just the same thing at the end of the day.
Yeah, what I also find interesting here is that this personality cult mentality is now so clearly defined, because if you remember correctly, in the last year's election, a number of those CCC members who won in those elections and were recalled in the fiasco that has followed that, when those individuals contested the by-election as independent, they failed to win even 10% of what they had won 6 months ago, clearly showing that the voters were voting for Chamisa or anyone endorsed by Chamisa. And so it should not come as a surprise that some of these opportunists who participated in last year's election for the sake of getting onto the gravy train and went and would not even listen to Chamisa saying to them, no, don't take up those seats because it will only be endorsing an election process that Sadak himself has said was flawed. They will not listen to him. But now, when now that he has resigned in despair, they've joined him for no other reason other than they know they could not keep their seats if they endorsed Savangu, because Savangu never accept them. And so they've reverted back to Chamisa now. And they are singing with the mob even louder in these personality cult practices. It's really amazing. I think these are some of the people who have let the country down. We have too many opportunists, Benjamin.
Yes, and we are aiding the opportunist, if I may add, by not using our own intelligence or our own wisdom, or using our heads generally to think for ourselves. I mean, this thing it's been 23 years we've been doing the same thing. Let's go to elections. In Shona, they say, "Ande kuma elections." To do what? What has changed that warrants us to go back to hold elections when we know that Zanu PF will rig? The political environment is not conducive for democracy in Zimbabwe. Why do we continue doing the same thing? And when somebody comes up with an idea to say, let us do ABC, that is not in line with what Chamisa or Zanu PF says. You're on the wrong side. You're no longer a popular character. You know, the same thing what Zanu PF does is exactly what Triple C or Chamisa is doing. You know, where you say you want to go the opposite, they will simply tell you Warasika Gwara. Or Triple C will tell you, you know, you are a Zanu PF. You are, I don't know what they call this group, Faz. You know, if you go against Chamisa, you are Faz. If you go against Zanu PF, Warasika Gwara, Urim Puppet. What is that supposed to be? Where's the difference?
Well, what we can say without any hesitation is that this so-called Cyclone Chamisa is really no different from Triple C or MDC before it. Because I can bet you Cyclone Chamisa will not get any meaningful reforms implemented and will go on to participate in the 2028 elections without any reforms and get the mob, most significantly, to participate, to con them into participating. So that at the end of the day, we are back to where we are, where you have participated, you have given Zanu PF legitimacy. And nothing has changed. I personally think we should stop calling this Cyclone Chamisa and just call it Cyclone Zanu PF Team B, because MDC, Triple C, and this Cyclone Blue Bus are not going to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. They're only there to give Zanu PF legitimacy. Benjamin, give us your concluding remarks there.
Yes, I would agree with you to say, you know, once you see the mob is all fired up and we are back into election mode, I don't think reforms are on the agenda at all. Yes, the cry for reforms will be there, here and there, but just a murmur. It's not as loud as let's go for elections. This, I mean, they're showcasing how they are going to do it at with the amount of people that or support that Chamisa has. But we've been through this. We've seen it. The numbers do not matter. You can have even 4/4 of the country, and Zanu PF can have even two people. They will win the elections because they have the ability to rig. So participating will not help us anyway. It is impossible. Zanu PF will rig, and it will push the people that are in the rural areas to go and vote for them, because I mean they are forced to. So there is absolutely no way you can win. If I can say, if it's a football match, you don't have gates to score. The opposition, Zanu PF has gates, so they can score. All you can do is try and defend for 90 minutes, which is impossible. So I don't understand when or what will it take for us to see just a simple thing like that, we've been doing something for 23 years. 23 years is a lifetime, We've been doing the same thing and nothing has been coming out of it. Surely that has to change. We need to think for ourselves.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. My last remark, I'll conclude them giving a quotation by this gentleman, George Santayana, a Spanish-American philosopher and writer. What he said is, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. We have failed to hold free, fair, and credible elections for 43 years and counting. We could have stopped Zanu PF rigging the elections these last 23 years. We have failed to do so because the opposition has failed to implement the democratic reforms designed to stop Zanu PF rigging the elections. To keep on repeating this without realizing that what we need is a competent opposition that will implement the reforms is just insanity. People get the government they deserve. We in Zimbabwe certainly deserve this corrupt, incompetent, tyrannical Zanu PF dictatorship, complete with its acolyte, MDC/CCC, who are, in fact, Zanu PF Team B in all but name. Thank you very much for listening, and good night.